Hey people, it's Niles talking. Now I found out about this one just tonight when I was looking for famous black people from Birmingham, and I came across this photographer. So I'm going to cover him, and this is an article from The Guardian. Interview. We're not just passing through. How photographer Vanley Burke immortalized Black Britain. Raised in Jamaica, Burke has spent half a century documenting the lives of black people in Birmingham, from parties and weddings to funerals and anti-racist marches, and his work is far from over. Vanley Burke has been sitting in his allotment. The 70-year-old photographer's small plot in his beloved Birmingham is dedicated to roots and vegetables and stuff, and has been flourishing during lockdown and beyond. This year's temperamental climate has hampered things, he says, as he starts taking a mental inventory. We have had an abundance of callaloo, says Burke, referring to the vegetable often used in West Indian cooking. My sweet corn is coming up quite nicely. I got some chard, red currants, gooseberries, and wild rhubarb. That works really well. On Burke's allotment, there's a shed which was given to him by the Trinidad-born Birmingham-based artist Karen McLean. It's a safe place, he says, a place to think and to plot, as well as to keep an eye on his veg. And if anyone has earned the right to a sit-down, it's Burke. He has been called the godfather of black British photography, and his work takes in 5 decades of black life in Birmingham, recording protests and community work, as well as weddings, funerals, and every imaginable aspect of existence from cradle to grave. Mark Seeley, director of Autograph, the photographic arts agency that was founded by black photographers, describes Burke's photography as trying to have a bloody long conversation rather than capture the ephemeral, decisive moment favored by Henry Carter Bresson. And just as with the produce on his veg plot, Burke has thrived with the West Midland city where he has lived since arriving as a child from a farm in the foothills of Jamaica's Blue Mountains in 1965. His mother, who gave him his first camera, a box brownie, when he was 10, had moved to the UK to train as a nurse. And that's what Burke was for. For the next 10 years, he lived with his grandparents until he rejoined his mother in Handsworth at the age of 14. His mother had remarried, and he now had a stepfather, 4 brothers, and a whole new area to photograph, one that was a world away from his rural roots. He is really, really local, says Celia admiringly. He's not like a black photographer turning up and Notting Hill saying, I'm photographing my community, I'm representing black life. No, he's well known in that space. The Birmingham-based public intellectual Stuart Hall, whom Burke shot, dubbed his pictures not just photographs, but histographs, we define as capturing the personal, social, and economic life of black people as they arrived, settled, and became established in British society. In his book By the Rivers of Birmingham, Burke's philosophy of passing on stories to new generations is discussed by the academic Linda Morris. Is that how he sees his image, as generation-spanning artifacts? It's what people who are members of the community tell me about the work that I do, he says. Many of them have said to me without the images they won't be able to tell their story to their children. Burke says there's even a group of middle-aged black men who meet to talk every month and often pick one of his images to trigger a discussion. Those are the reasons why I started taking the photographs in the first place, he says. It's about how do we preserve some idea of history within this place to make clear that we're not just passing through. And the picture I'm looking at within the article, once I leave it in, is a picture of African Liberation Day, Handsworth Park, 1977. The idea of staying power and securing a footing in Britain runs through Burke's art. It's there in his classic 1977 crowd shots of people in Handsworth Park for African Liberation Day. And for people who don't know, Handsworth is a very highly populated part of Birmingham with Jamaican descent. Benjamin Zephaniah once called Handsworth the Jamaican capital of Europe. So if anybody comes to the UK, that's a place to stop off. It's thought to be the largest all-black crowd ever to assemble in Britain, and it reverberates through his images of dance halls and black politicians named James Hunt, who ran for office in 1977. They present the people finding their feet and fighting to keep a hold. Other 1970s images show anti-National Front marches at a time when the far-right group was campaigning for the repatriation of black Britons. And with what's happening with Windrush and the massive scandal of that, you wonder if they didn't just get their way covertly. Now, Burke has a mentoring role in Gloucester where he has been giving advice to young artists who are investigating black life in the area with oral histories they collect used as a basis for artworks. They're very interested in seeing what I've done and finding out how I arrived at where I am. Burke says the artists he's worked with for the project History, Her Story, Their Story, Our Story. Burke clearly sees his role as being not solely a photographer, but a conduit for which black life in Birmingham can be understood and accessed. His own archive of newspaper clippings, ephemera, and images is kept in Birmingham Central Library. In 2015, he recreated his front room in the city's icon gallery. The show was described as a living archive of untold Black British history. Recently, a history started to be told. In the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests in the UK came the release of Small Axe, Steve McQueen's 5-film anthology series that touches on everything from the Brixton Uprising of 1981 to the Mangrove 9 case. Yeah, I covered that in some of my Black Heroes videos. Darkest Howe was one of the people who tried in that. Burke was impressed, but he found the Lovers Rock film, an hour-long mood piece set at a blues party, hard to watch. While some critics picked it as a standout moment from the series, Burke, who's photographed dozens of similar parties in the West Midlands, considers it a missed opportunity. He had so much really wonderful material at his disposal, says Burke. I didn't think he made good use of it. I didn't know why we had a rape scene in the garden and then this person just came back in his room and started dancing with everyone else. That's not my experience. The dressing up, the cooking of the food, the buying of the curry goat, the seasoning, the cooking, the setting up of the sound system, all your journeys to this destination is for one thing. It's when that needle touches the vinyl, and I think he missed the point, says Burke. We threw stones and then a door opens and a few people are pulled through. Then the door is slammed and we throw some more stones and it continues. How about the wider BLM movement? Does he think it's had an impact? He pauses. We throw stones and then a door opens and a few people are pulled through, he says. Then the door is slammed and we throw some more stones and it continues. The overflow of interest in racial issues in the UK doesn't lead to sustained change, he thinks. The next thing you know, the people who open the door say, look what we've done for you. While that is happening, we have the Windrush people who have been treated extremely harshly. We have a lot of ongoing issues with the police that haven't been resolved. The work goes on. There isn't a hint that Burke is tired of it. And despite the fact that his images are everywhere at the moment, from the stained glass work installed in the MAC in Birmingham to the War in a Babylon exhibition at the ICA in London, you won't catch him taking a victory lap. I don't think we can rest on our laurels and think we've done some work and just sit back and reap the benefit, he says. It's a continuous slog. Burke will head back to his allotment soon, he says. Back to his callaloo and berries, and eventually he'll pick up his camera and continue his bloody long conversation. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. Sorry, folks, for all the yawning. I'm just very tired, but I really wanted to get this one done before I didn't get a chance again. So I'm going to leave this article in the description. I'm going to leave some more links to Vanley Burke. Anyway, so please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.